What if your editor didn't know just how to write code, but also pull real product and engineering context directly from your company's content system? In this video, we'll check out how to connect Cursor to Box using the Box MCP server, then generate a real API from an OpenAPI spec and design docs all stored in Box. I'm Andrew, Senior Dev App Advocate here at Box. Let's check it out. Here's our current project in Cursor. It's a pretty lightweight OpenAPI spec, the documents and approval queue API. So you have things like endpoints, schemas, and status enums. Then on top of that, we also have a small c.json file with some dummy data, so we can actually test the API immediately. Just to be clear, there's no server code just yet. Now in Box, we're storing two documents. First, a short PRD that defines business rules. And second, an engineering design doc that defines implementation details, like how auth should work, using in-memory storage, and specific formats for error messages. Again, these documents live in Box, so the next step is allowing Cursor to access them. Here in the Dev Console, I've created a Box OAuth app and configured credentials for the Box MCP server. This way, Cursor can securely access these documents in Box. Next up, we'll connect Cursor to Box using MCP. Over here in Cursor settings, we'll click Add. And from here, I'll paste in the client ID and client secret from the Dev Console in this format. The MCP server uses these credentials to authenticate and request access. So we'll save and close. Next, we'll connect to initiate the OAuth flow. And after granting access in the browser, Cursor can now read and interact with the documents in my Box account, scoped to the permissions of this app. Real quick, if you see any redirect issues with OAuth, feel free to double check your redirect URIs in the Dev Console. At this point, Box effectively becomes a readable content source directly inside the editor. So, with this connection in place, let's now ask Cursor to generate the implementation. I'll paste in this prompt. In short, we'll tell it to use a local OpenAPI spec, load the seed data, and also read the PRD and engineering design docs from Box. Most importantly, we're also going to ask it to enforce all business rules and constraints defined right there. We'll hit submit. Great, looks like it's done. Scroll back to the very top. First, in the thinking process, you can see the Box tools that it used to read my stored content. So things like searching folders by name, listing folder content by folder ID, getting file content. And again, these are tools exposed to the agent via the MCP server. Now, if we close this up, Cursor's generated a minimal single file server for us, is loading the seed data on startup, enforcing validation rules from the PRD, and also applying role checks and status transition logic from the engineering design doc. The implementation reflects rules that aren't in the OpenAPI spec, and that context came directly from Box. All right, just for good measure, let's test it out. I'll start the server and send a simple GET request to /requests. Let's open up terminal, start a new server, and then in a new terminal, we'll send this. And there it is. You can see it returning the seeded data immediately, which confirms the server bootstrapped correctly and loaded the in-memory state. And that's it. The API is running, it's responding, it's reflecting the structure from the spec, and most importantly, it has all the business logic detailed in the Box docs. Now, stepping back, the generated server is almost incidental. What matters the most is that Box is now available as a context source inside the editor. The MCP server handles authentication and access, while Cursor can read my project docs directly without me moving around that content. In the end, agents are working in the same system the team's already using, with standard permissions all in place. That changes how context flows in the development process. If you want to get started quickly, sign up for a free developer account. I'm Andrew. See you next time.